In this lesson, you'll learn how to use Android wizards, which are based on Android templates, to automatically generate code in your Eclipse workspace. In addition to helping you save time and effort in coding, the wizards give you insights into the fundamental building blocks of the Android system, and they're one way to help deal with the complexity inherent in Android. The input to wizards is a huge pool of components, resources, APIs, and project source patterns. Now, these inputs represent thousands of possibilities. Wizards give you a starting point in building your apps and app piece parts. Wizards use sequences of screens to help you step through decisions needed to build your app. And the wizards are accessed from Eclipse and the Android tools. Wizards then build code and content in your workspace. If you recall, we used a wizard to create your first app, so you should be familiar with the process. You've likely also used wizards with other software tools, such as Microsoft Word for building document types. Android wizards are a souped-up version of the wizard concept. They're used not only to create a start in an app, but also used during the app development process to add elements to your base application. Wizards are accessed from Eclipse and the Android tools using the File menu by selecting New, then Other, or right-clicking on a project and then New and Other. You'll then select an individual wizard and follow the steps to generate your code and other content such as graphics in your workspace. And we'll be using wizards throughout the course to help demonstrate various Android capabilities. In this lesson, I'll go through an overview of each Android wizard to give you a feel for what they can do. I'll be using graphics showing sequences of screens. I think this is easier to digest than flashing quickly through dozens of different screens. Google has been continually adding to the pool of wizards, so you might see new wizards added over time in addition to those I show you here that are available as of the development of this course. This is a part of Google's effort to make Android development more developer-friendly and easier to do. Android wizards are based on the use of Android templates, and you'll find a discussion of using code templates on the Android developers website by following the link at the bottom of this graphic. Now, if you like, you can start Eclipse with your first app project and follow along as I go through an overview of the wizards. Another approach is to first watch my overview and then open Eclipse and try some of the screens yourself. I'll leave it up to you as to which to do. If you're going to open Eclipse now, go ahead and do it and come back to this point in the lesson. And one more overall point before we look at the details. Wizards are not just useful for initiating an app. They can and should be used for adding elements to your app as you build it. Now let's take a closer look at how to access Android wizards. Remember, you can bring up the first wizard menu by using File, New, Other, or right-clicking on a project and then New and Other. And this will bring up the wizard selection screen as shown here. For convenience, Google has included shortcuts to the Android application project wizard and Android XML file wizard in the New File drop-down menu. So the first step is to select the type of wizard you want, then click Next and follow the additional screens. What we'll do now is to go through each of these wizard types to give you a feel for the process for each of them. Don't worry if you don't understand all the wizard options as we go through them. We'll be looking back at each of these in more detail in coming lessons. The Activity Wizard creates an activity within a project depending on the type of activity you select and the details you specify. The Application Projects Wizard creates an app depending on the sequence of screen parameters you specify. And remember, we use this wizard to create your first app. The Icon Wizard generates icon images at various screen sizes. The Objects Wizard generates various types of Android components depending on your selection here and the parameters you supply. The Project from Existing Code wizard uses yours or others' code as a base to create a new project. The Android Sample Project option works first by specifying an Android version and then selecting a sample project. And the Test Projects wizard generates test code for the selected app. The XML file wizard generates XML code for selected elements, such as shown here. And you can also add qualifiers to limit the XML. The XML layout file wizard generates XML code for selected layouts, and you can also add qualifiers to limit the XML. And the XML values file generates values for resources based on parameters you supply. In addition to using the wizards we've looked at, you can go directly to your template files to initiate the generation screen sequence. So that's an overview of using wizards and templates to generate apps and app elements. And I know it's a lot of information to throw at you in one lesson, but remember, we'll be revisiting wizards in coming lessons.